This happened to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet Isaiah. He took up our infirmities and carried our diseases. Comes from Isaiah 53:4. What is found in Isaiah 53? What is that chapter of the Bible? It's the suffering servant. The theme is the substitutionary atonement. Jesus bearing our sins. And in fact, verse 4 is one of those that is ordinarily quoted along the line of this substitutionary atonement. He took our infirmities and carried our diseases. Then I'm just going to read 4, 5, and 6. Surely He took up our infirmities. He carried our sorrows. That's the verse that we just read in Matthew chapter 8. Yet we considered Him stricken by God, smitten by Him, and afflicted. But He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon Him, and by His wounds we are healed. We all like sheep have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way, but the Lord has laid upon Him the iniquity of us all. Now we read that through the lens, rightly so, of the substitutionary atonement. But Matthew is saying, not only is there substitution and removal of punishment through Jesus' death, but there's also healing in it. A teacher of the law came to Jesus and said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus is approached by a man who seems to have a good intention, but he doesn't quite know what he's doing. He's a little bit bold. He's calling Jesus a teacher. That's not such a good sign. And Jesus seems to put him off a little bit. He says, well, not so fast. Before you get involved in this, you need to know that foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests. They've at least got a nest. We've got a rock to lay our heads on. Another disciple said to him, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." Oh, pay attention to every word. The first guy called Jesus teacher. What does he do? What does the second person use? Lord. Is that good? It's an improvement. What else is there about? The first man was a scribe. What's this guy? He's a disciple. So that sounds good. He's dedicated to his father. He's loyal. Of course, that's the problem, isn't it? Because we have to think carefully about what it might mean, let me go bury my father. Jesus says to him pretty bluntly, "You follow me and let the dead bury their own dead." Now, what he means by that is certainly metaphorical. And what Jesus is doing is saying, this concern with even the good, the sensible obligations of this life are inferior and have to be subordinated to the superior claims of Christ. Well, when that's done, we get to another range of miracles. The first one is the calming of the storm. And this shows that Jesus is Lord over nature. He says the word, and the wind and the waves stop. In Luke chapter 8, verses 26 and following, we have a man who is apparently almost totally consumed and deranged by his demon possession. He has no clothes. He has no home. He's driven into solitary places, verse 29. No one can go there. He lives among tombs, an unclean place, suggesting his total alienation from society. He cries out. He falls. He shouts. Chains can't hold him. He seems to have superhuman strength. He has no name. His only name is Legion. That's all. Gashed himself with stones, Mark says. Verse 29. He was driven about, but at the end, when the demons are gone, he is sitting. He was naked, but now he's dressed. He was in the tombs. Now he's at Jesus' feet. He was so deranged he didn't even know his name, but now he's in his right mind. He's restored to normalcy. He is saved. He's made whole. But when he's healed, do you suppose the people of that area come by to thank Jesus for taking care of their problem and making it possible to use that nice little shortcut? They're afraid, and they ask Jesus to leave. The demoniac begged to be a disciple. Jesus said, "No, what I want you to do is really be my first missionary, almost, a proto-missionary. Go and tell all that God has done for you." And in some ways, that's what the miracles are about. Demonstrating all that God has done. That is there both in His Word and in His works for the good, for the healing of those who come under His reign.